hits kept right on coming. As spring was sprung, there was something in the water that year that made hits appear and kept all the groovy cats humming. Yes, we're back in our favourite year, 1966, for an investigation of shenanigans various on the charts for the 25th of September. At 10, it's the little bit bluesy, little bit sleazy romp that is Little Red Riding Hood by Sam the Sham and the Pharaohs. American garage rock was a precursor to punk, of course, and the Pharaohs are a suitably scuzzy example, but Sam the Sham is an almost unlistenably bad singer. 9 is the reliable hit bank that was the Mamas and the Papas with one of their more listenable songs in I Saw Her Again. Usually I find the Mamas and Papas music a little plastic and reactionary in the face of what was happening around them, but this one has a breezy, cheery charm that transcends its times. Down from last week's high of 4, this was to be its last week in the top 10. Numero ocho, as our many viewers in Paraguay would say, is David Garrick's yucky version of the Stones' Lady Jane. It made number 28 in England, yet for some reason we thought it deserved better, but honestly, if you're going to do a Stones cover in 1966, follow the path loudly and not with some twee garbage where the only redeeming feature of the original was Brian Jones being a bit of a clever clogs. On this cover they hired a professional Brian Jones knockoff to do what the obnoxious Stone did. Thankfully, at 7, we have the most interesting woman in the history of post-war music in Petula Clark, with her bright and breezy I Just Couldn't Live Without Your Love. Pet had many toe-tapping unforgettables during her career, and while this ain't no Don't Sleep in the Subway, it's pretty darn enjoyable for all. It got to number 5 locally while making only number 11 nationally. Well, folk rock was officially dead by this point, and if you needed any convincing, then the SANDPIPERS recording of Guantanamera should prove the point. It spent 5 vapid weeks in the top 10, making it statistically a bigger hit than All I Need Is a Miracle by Mike and the Mechanics. We reached the midpoint of the countdown with Black is Black by Los Bravos, the wildest rocking cats in Generalissimo Francisco Franco's fascist dictatorship of Spain. These mad lads from Madrid didn't get any higher than number 5, but did make number 2 in the UK. Dedicated members of the one-hit wonder club, Los Bravos, broke up, reformed, and skated through lineups until the 1980s, and to my knowledge, General Franco didn't have any of them shot. Time now to greet the bold and the new and farewell hits which stood and served in our hello and goodbye section. New to the top 10 this week is Sam the Sham and the Pharaohs, in at number 10 and due to gravitate around the lower end of the 10 for 3 weeks. It replaced beloved ex-number 1 Born Free, which slipped to 11. The next number 1 single was at this week number 15 and bounding up the charts. Number 4 shows us a band that I have an ill-disguised love for, the Mighty Hollies, with the eventually in 10cc and Bad Ramones producer Graham Goldman penned Bus Stop. The harmonies here are slightly psychedelic leaning, which adds to the refreshing new dimension of the music, and a band that can never be described as anything less than charming. Number 3 is a big old slab of easy listening with a cheesy easy listening topper. The Ray Conniff Singers with Somewhere My Love. Peaking at number 2, it is, of the songs we featured in this series, the 4th biggest hit to stall at number 2. Thus far, Ego Is Not a Dirty Word by Skyhooks is the biggest. The song came from the movie Dr. Zhivago, which is, adjusted for inflation, still the 8th highest grossing film of all time. It's time for 2, and it's Australia's hottest band, the Easy Beats, with their Easy Fever EP, anchored by the wild rocker I'll Make You Happy. The Easies racked up 8 top 10 singles between 1964 and 1967, with 2 number 1s before the pressure of trying to break overseas softened their sound and splintered the group. Harry Vander and George Young went on to mentor AC/DC in their pre-Highway to Hell days, and Stevie Wright had a huge hit with Evie, before heroin killed any chance he had of a meaningful career. As always at this juncture, I have facts both fantastic and fanciful in Fowl's fantastic world of facts. Biggest upward mover this week was Sunny by Bobby Hebb, up 9 places to 20, and the most alarming fall was the one-time number 1 Mama by BJ Thomas, which fell from 13 to 22. The biggest debutante was the Supremes, who are hustling up the charts, kicking off at number 29 for You Can't Hurry Love, written by Righteous Bojambo Hall of Famers Holland Dozier Holland. And the Susie stick around for this week was also Mama, which had booked up 13 weeks of action this far. Number 1 in the US this week was Cherish by The Association, which was nice, and in the jolly old UK as England basked in World Cup victory not long hence, and more importantly Everton basked in an FA Cup win, the long dead Jim Reeves topped the charts, his mouldering bones singing at distant drums. This time last year, the number 1 record about town was I Got You Babe, and a year into the psychedelic haze of the future, it was to be Petula Clark, who passed out, no doubt drunk, in the subway one night and decided to share her lived experience with Don't Sleep in the Subway. And the number 1 album in town was Revolver by the Beatles, which knocked the unstoppable juggernaut that was the sound of freakin' music off number 1. Eleanor Rigby and Some Doctor Fella, Sunshine So Sunny and Submarine's Yellow, I'm only sleeping and your bird can sing, these are a few of my favourite things. She said the taxman is cunning and greedy, he's coming for no one but favours the needy. I want to tell you I'd love you to bring just a bare few of my favourite things. Here, there and everywhere, tomorrow's uncertain. Got you into my life, you're the Liz to my burden. 3 weeks on top when the Beatles were king. These are a few of my favourite things. I have no idea where that came from. Excuse me while I chase all these gentlemen lederhosen out of my room. Well, that's the facts dispensed with and the science is settled, and while we can all feel a little foolish, there's one guy you can never make a monkey out of because he already is one. Hey ho, Monty, do your thing. At number 1 this week we have Yellow Submarine, the worst song on the Beatles' Revolver album by some distance. It might just be me, but I feel there's a special place in hell for this record. If we'd had the good sense to buy the B-side, Eleanor Rigby, then all would be well, but no, 2.5-year-old me, and 2.5-year-olds seem to be the target audience for this pap, had to put up with singing along to this and not the uplifting strains of Rigby's Baroque and Roll. I feel cheated. So there we have it, in all its splendour. And if the good Lord's willin' and the creeks don't rise, I'll be back with another instalment, our 50th, in about a week-ish.